They call it Blackwater, but trust me, there's nothing pure about this place. Secrets lurk behind these walls, and I see them every night. Subscribe if you dare to face the government's darkest horrors, one story at a time. Let's start. The oppressive silence of cell block D pressed down on me like the thick Arizona heat. 8 years as a guard at Blackwater Prison, the government's deepest, darkest secret, had hardened me. Yet, the unease gnawing at me tonight was different. I paced the cold concrete floor, the rhythmic clink of my boots echoing eerily. Just hours ago, the warden called an emergency assembly, his face pale under the harsh fluorescent lights. Subject X has vanished, he'd rasped, his voice laden with dread. No forced entry, no alarms. He's gone. Subject X wasn't a name, it was a classification. A chilling moniker reserved for a single inmate, a man who defied definition. He arrived years ago, shrouded in more secrecy than the prison itself. He never spoke, his face perpetually hidden behind a featureless mask. Yet, rumors swirled amongst the guards, whispers of unimaginable abilities, of psychic manipulation, of shadows bending to his will. Tonight, those whispers felt terrifyingly real. His cell was untouched, barren as ever. The only anomaly, a single, intricate raven feather left on the cot. It's a macabre calling card, I thought, a chilling sign of his departure, or perhaps a warning of things to come. The security footage was useless. Cameras inexplicably malfunctioned hours before his disappearance. And the other inmates, a motley crew of hardened criminals and the truly deranged, offered nothing but nervous glances and feigned ignorance. Days blurred into nights. The tension in Blackwater grew thicker than the desert air. The guards were on edge, jumpy at every creak and groan of the aging building. Whispers of X's escape spread like wildfire, morphing into chilling tales of sightings, of whispers in the dark halls, of objects moving on their own. One night, patrolling cell block C, I felt a prickling sensation on the back of my neck. I spun around, heart hammering against my ribs. Nothing. Just the usual oppressive darkness, the rows of empty cells. Or were they? One, at the end of the corridor, seemed to pulsate. As I approached, a low, rhythmic chanting emanated from within. Hesitantly, I peered through the bars. The cell was empty. But on the wall, scrawled in blood-red paint, was a single chilling message: he is coming. For all of you. I stumbled back, fear chilling me to the bone. Was it X? Or something else? One thing was certain: Blackwater Prison, once a fortress of secrecy, now held a terror far more chilling than any human prisoner. And we, the guards, were trapped with it. The following morning, the news broke. Blackwater Prison, long shrouded in secrecy, was now infamous. The raven feather became a symbol of terror plastered across every news channel. Panic rippled through the nation as rumors of an escaped psychic weapon, a shadow man, reached a fever pitch. Days turned into weeks, then months. No sign of X. But the unease at Blackwater intensified. Unexplained occurrences became commonplace: flickering lights, disembodied voices echoing through the halls, shadows that seemed to writhe and contort in the corners. Some guards started exhibiting erratic behavior, paranoia blooming in their eyes, muttering about shadows and whispers. One night, patrolling cell block C again, I saw it, a dark, swirling vortex at the end of the corridor, pulsing with an unnatural light. As I drew closer, a figure emerged from its depths. It wasn't the masked man of my memories. This thing resembled a man, but its form seemed to shift and flicker, its eyes burning with an otherworldly glow. Panic took hold. I lunged for my radio, screaming into it, "Get everyone out, now!" But before I could transmit, the figure lunged. I felt a searing pain, then darkness engulfed me. When I awoke, I was in the infirmary, strapped to the bed. The doctor, his face etched with worry, informed me I'd been found unconscious, muttering about shadows and a figure. They attributed it to stress, the toll of the situation, but I knew the truth. I'd seen the creature, the harbinger of X's return. And the question that gnawed at me was I the only one who did? The days that followed were a blur of exhaustion and paranoia. The occurrences escalated, objects flying across rooms, blood-red messages scrawled on walls, guards disappearing without a trace. Each night, I lay awake, the single raven feather, confiscated from X's cell, nestled in my hand, a chilling reminder of the horror we faced. One day, a familiar chilling message appeared on the infirmary wall: the harvest begins. Then, silence. An unnatural, oppressive silence descended upon Blackwater. No screams, no cries for help, no movement. Just an eerie stillness. I was the only one left. The sole survivor, perhaps, in a prison now devoid of life. As I wandered the empty corridors, a single thought echoed in my mind: was this the end? Or was it just the beginning? Days blurred into weeks, then months. As the lone inhabitant of Blackwater, I became a ghost myself, haunted by the echoes of screams and the oppressive silence that followed. The raven feather, my only companion, remained perpetually cold in my hand. I searched for answers, driven by a morbid curiosity and a desperate hope for escape. One day, while exploring the administrative wing, I stumbled upon a hidden room. Inside, nestled amongst dusty files, lay a single, leather-bound journal. It belonged to the warden, filled with frantic scribblings detailing Subject X's abilities, the manipulation of shadows, the control of minds, the very fabric of reality bending to his will. But what terrified me most was the warden's final entry, scrawled in a desperate, spidery hand: he isn't escaping, he's recruiting. And the target is us. The realization struck me like a physical blow. X wasn't just a prisoner, he was a gateway, beckoning something far more monstrous from beyond. And Blackwater wasn't a prison anymore, it was a breeding ground. Fueled by terror and a sliver of hope, I decided to act. Using my knowledge of the prison layout and the cryptic notes in the journal, I began piecing together a plan. I rigged the emergency failsafe, the self-destruct sequence, anything to disrupt X's hold and sever the connection. As I activated the final sequence, a wave of chilling laughter echoed through the halls. The lights flickered, shadows danced in the corners, and the air crackled with an unseen energy. A figure materialized before me, not X, but something else entirely. A being of pure darkness, its form ever shifting, its eyes gleaming with malevolent intelligence. It spoke, its voice a chorus of whispers and screams: you cannot stop the inevitable. The laughter intensified, a chilling symphony of despair. Then, the world went white. The deafening silence that followed was absolute. I lay sprawled on the cold floor, the air thick with the smell of burnt electronics and dust. The journal lay open beside me, the final page blank. Had I succeeded? Had I condemned myself to oblivion along with X and whatever entity he aimed to unleash? I stumbled to my feet, the raven feather falling from my numb fingers. The building shook, a tremor that sent dust raining down. A single exit sign flickered in the distance, beckoning. With a deep breath, I stepped towards it, the weight of the unknown and the chilling uncertainty of whether this was freedom or just another horrifying chapter, settling heavily upon me. As I pushed open the heavy steel doors, sunlight slammed into me like a physical blow. Blinking away the temporary blindness, I found myself greeted by a desolate landscape. The familiar Arizona desert was gone, replaced by an endless expanse of barren gray rock, stretching towards a sky devoid of sun or stars, an unnatural twilight casting long, ominous shadows. A chilling wind howled, carrying whispers on its breath, words I couldn't understand yet felt instinctively wrong. The silence that had been oppressive inside Blackwater now felt suffocating, broken only by the rasping wind and the steady hammering of my heart. In the distance, a figure stood silhouetted against the bleak horizon. Tall and slender, its form seemed to ripple and distort, defying the rules of physics. It lifted a single arm, and a wave of darkness rolled towards me, extinguishing the faint glow of the emergency exit sign, plunging the world into an even deeper gloom. Panic threatened to consume me, but the chilling message in the journal echoed in my mind. He isn't escaping, he's recruiting. This wasn't freedom, it was an invitation. X had succeeded, breaching the veil to this desolate dimension, whatever it may be. And now, I stood at the precipice, a single survivor thrust into a nightmare beyond comprehension. The figure took a single step forward, its distorted face turning towards me. My hand instinctively reached for the empty space where the raven feather had been. A cold sweat prickled my skin. Was this the end? Or was this just the beginning of a never-ending fight against a foe beyond human capacity? The figure spoke in a voice that seemed to emanate from all around me, a chorus of whispers tinged with a malevolent glee. "Welcome," it rasped, "to your new reality." The world blurred, the figure's form growing larger, its distorted face filling my vision. Then, complete and utter darkness, a single question hung in the air, unanswered and terrifying. Who was I now? And what horrors wait in this new, bleak reality? As I emerged from the rubble of Blackwater, the world seemed to tilt on its axis. The familiar Arizona landscape was gone, replaced by a swirling vortex of vibrant hues, an unnatural tapestry woven from light and shadow. My head throbbed, the raven feather cold in my hand despite the scorching heat emanating from the ground. But the heat wasn't the only thing burning. Whispers, like tendrils of smoke, snaked into my ears, a cacophony of alien languages and forgotten tongues. The air itself felt charged with an unseen energy, making my skin prickle. Suddenly, a figure materialized from the swirling vortex. Not the distorted being I'd seen earlier, but a woman, radiating an otherworldly beauty. Her eyes, however, held a chilling familiarity, the same malevolent intelligence that haunted X. "Welcome," she said, her voice a melody that resonated deep within my bones, "to the Nexus." "Nexus?" I croaked, my voice hoarse. "Where am I?" "You stand at the crossroads," she replied, a knowing smile playing on her lips, "between dimensions. This is the in-between, the echo chamber of reality, where boundaries blur and possibilities are infinite." Her words were cryptic, but they sparked a memory, a hidden passage in the Warden's journal, mentioning an ancient entity imprisoned within Blackwater, a being capable of bending reality itself. Could this woman be her? Before I could ask, she continued, "X was merely a conduit, a catalyst to unlock the true potential of the Nexus. And you, with your unique connection to this place, hold the key." My blood ran cold. What did she mean by connection? Was it my proximity to X? Or something deeper, something I wasn't aware of? "What do you want from me?" I demanded, gripping the raven feather tighter. "Survival," she said, her smile fading into a cold stare. "The Nexus is teetering on the brink of collapse. X's escape created a tear in the fabric of reality, and only you, the bridge between worlds, can mend it." Doubt gnawed me. Was she manipulating me, using the same tactics as X? But the alternative, being trapped in this nightmarish dimension, was unthinkable. How? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She gestured towards the swirling vortex. "Enter the Nexus, find the source of the tear, and close it. But remember, the paths within are treacherous, and the consequences of failure catastrophic." With a final, chilling smile, the woman vanished into the vortex, leaving me alone at the precipice of the unknown. The raven feather felt warm in my hand, no longer a symbol of X, but a beacon of hope, or perhaps, another layer of the mystery. I took a deep breath, the swirling vortex beckoning. Stepping forward, I plunged into the unknown, a million questions swirling in my mind. Was I a pawn in a larger game? Was there any way to truly escape this nightmare? And what truth lay hidden within the depths of the Nexus, waiting to be unraveled? As I plunged into the swirling vortex, a memory flashed before my eyes, a childhood dream, recurring for years. A dark, echoing chamber, the air thick with an unseen force. A single voice, whispering promises of power, knowledge, and escape. The dream resurfaced, vivid and terrifying, as the world dissolved around me. The whispers filled my head, morphing into a single, chilling truth. The woman, the Nexus, the raven feather, they were all facets of the same entity, the one who had haunted my dreams for years. Realization dawned, sharp and cold. I wasn't a bridge between worlds, I was the key, the one the entity needed to escape its prison. This wasn't a rescue mission, it was a trap. As the vortex solidified into a chamber, the voice echoed around me, no longer alluring but laden with anticipation. "Welcome home, child," it said, a form coalescing from the shadows, its face a horrifying echo of the woman's beauty. I raised the raven feather, the only weapon I had left. Not against the entity, but against myself. Its warmth seemed to intensify, not a beacon of hope, but a conduit for the entity's power. With a final, desperate prayer, I squeezed the feather, a silent scream escaping my lips. The chamber pulsed with an otherworldly light as my very essence was ripped apart, consumed by the entity's hunger, and then, silence. The vortex stabilized, shimmering faintly before collapsing in on itself, leaving behind a desolate, barren landscape. The true consequence of the tear in reality, a testament to the chilling choice I had made, not to close the wound, but to become the bandage. Blackwater Prison stood alone in the wasteland, a silent monument to the horrors it had contained, and the ultimate sacrifice it had demanded. The raven feather, cold and lifeless, lay on the cracked ground, the perfect closing note to a story forever etched in the chilling silence.